We're sisters, best friends, and authors on a mission to help you stoke your creative fire and live the life of your dreams. We believe that purpose fuels passion and that creativity is your secret weapon for mass construction. There's never been a better time to bless the world with your dream realized. You're listening to The Kate and Abbie Show.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Kate and Abbie Show. We hope your new year is going great so far. We hope you're accomplishing all the writing goals. We're back with another episode. Today we're going to dig into how to get into the writing mood. So that's like this elusive thing that many of us struggle to access sometimes. You all know what I'm talking about, those great writing days where we have just these awesome writing sessions. We're super pumped. We're having a great time. And then other days are just like meh.
Yeah.
Not really feeling it. I don't necessarily feel inspired. I'm getting distracted. What is it that makes a writing day great? And are there things we can do to set ourselves up for greatness so that every time we sit down, or most of the times we sit down, we have a superb writing session? That's what we're going to delve in today, is how to get into the writing mood. But first,
we have to thank our sponsors, who are you guys. You're the ones who support this show and keep it going, keep it interruption free. And we thank you guys so much for your support. So if you get value out of this podcast, go to patreon.com/The Kate and Abbie Show and help us keep this podcast alive and free of interruptions. So yeah, I think the writing mood, like you said, is kind of this elusive ideal. It's really getting into a state of flow, which I know we've talked about before on the show. And it's very specific for writers, I think, because you almost detach from reality and you are completely immersed in your fictional world, which is such a cool feeling. And from that place, you can create almost effortlessly.
right. It kind of reminds me, it's almost like a writer's high because I've heard, because I enjoy running. So there's a term in the running sphere that's called a runner's high. And it's like this state that not all runners experience it. I've experienced a lot, where it's like you just get so in flow with what you're doing and you're just enjoying it so much that it kind of goes beyond the mechanical process of running or what point you're trying to get to or what route you're taking. And you're just like in this kind of elated, elevated state of, wow, this is so much fun. I'm just so enjoying myself. I could do this for a really long time because it's just giving me this amazing dopamine hit, and I feel so in flow with what I'm doing that I could just keep going and going. And the other thing that I've felt the same about is writing. When you get into that writer's high or that state of flow, that place where you're so in sync with your writing that you're like, I could just keep going and going and going. You don't even notice time going by.
Yes. Those are the best writing days, the ones that fly by and you're like, I feel like I just woke up. Where did all the time go? Because you were totally lost in your world. So like you said, I think a great way to figure out how to make this happen on demand for yourself is to, first of all, take into account those days that do feel like this, those really good writing days, and see if you can find patterns and reverse engineer basically your own process to get into the writing mood.
Right. Like, what made you feel that way?
Exactly.
What were some things you did to set yourself up for that great writing session?
Right.
Was it that you took care of yourself better or did certain things?
Yeah. And usually you can find a pattern if you are writing these things down or just taking them into account, just going through sort of a mental scan of what did you do either that day or the previous day even, or that week. How did you set yourself up for that success? Because there's always a reason why you reach a certain headspace, whether it's negative or positive. Right. Just like with burnout, for instance, the reason you get burned out is because you've been working too hard, pushing yourself too much, and filling every spare moment of your schedule with things to do. Right. And that will inevitably result in burnout. So is there something you can do? Are there things you can set up in your schedule, in your life, that will inevitably lead to wonderful creative days where you can get into that state of flow, where you can get into that writing mood very quickly?
So what are like some things for you? Like off the top of your head, what's like one or two things that you're like, when I do that, That's what helps me out.
Probably the biggest one is eliminating all distractions, which I know I've talked about in the past, but not even physical distractions, not even tasks or emails or things to do or whatever the case may be, but mental distractions, like even thinking about any of those things.
Right.
Thinking about any of that. And it really takes a level of controlling your thoughts, mind control.
Yeah.
And reaching a level of mind control on yourself where you can completely focus on your creative project, whatever that may be, whatever you're facing that day, and push everything else aside. I was talking about this, I think, in the last episode as well, with like creating a writing habit, and that when you sit down to write, you should leave everything behind you, leave everything outside the door, so to speak. That is the number one thing that helps me to lock into a writing mood very quickly, or to get into my story very quickly, because if I'm thinking about other things, it's almost like I'm too connected to the business side of my career and too connected to real life. I know that sounds weird, but the less connected I am to real life, the easier it is for me to sink into my story.
Because you're going into a different realm, really.
Yeah.
You're going into the realm of your book.
It's
so
not
if you're
even
constantly being distracted by things going on around you or things you have to deal with, even if it's just in your own mental space.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to do this thing later. I have to do that thing. I have to answer that email. I have to go to this meeting.
Like, tell me if you feel the same way about this. But when I write and I get really deep into a good writing day, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I don't feel like I'm doing something that is writing or accomplishing a task that is writing this chapter or this scene. I feel like I am living through my character.
Yeah, it's a very disembodied feeling.
Yeah.
You're not even in that room.
Right.
It's weird.
Right.
I feel like people who aren't writer, like right now, like there's going to be people going down in the comments on the YouTube version of this saying like, yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that. But I feel like non-writers are thinking, what? What the heck? It's so weird. You know what I mean? But yet I think writers so get that.
And for writers, it's just the opposite. Like when I think about non-writers, I'm like, what do you think about all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you not bored all the time?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it really is.
I know.
Strange. I don't know. It feels
different.
like
it's different for sure.
I'm just constantly like in my story mentally, which I guess is not always a good thing because I am missing certain things that are happening around me at the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's better to be more connected with real life. And less with fictional realities, but I find that I'm very deeply connected with my fictional realities.
It's important to be able to, because it has to become real to you.
Yes.
It has to become real to you in order for it to be real to your readers. You know what I mean? Like, stories are real to readers. That's what fandoms are, that's become a reality for them. It's like this different plane of reality that they can escape into and find comfort and joy and enjoyment in that. Whether it's a TV series or a book series, that's what fandoms are. People who live and operate within that story because they get so much enjoyment out of it.
Right.
They want to participate in it. So it's important, I think, is for you as the author to feel that. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because that's what's going to help your reader feel that too.
You have to be the biggest, most excited fan for your characters and your story than anybody.
Yeah.
Because you're the original fan.
You're the original fan. Yeah, the first one. But I think clearing the mental landscape is important. And for me, one of the things that has helped a lot is meditation. Meditating, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes before I sit down to write, especially first thing in the morning. The morning is usually when I like to write, so that's kind of how I do that. But if you write at some other time of the day, you can just plan it so it's before your writing session. And meditation is such a diverse thing. There's so many different ways to meditate. There's so many different types of meditations. But whatever you do, just something to ground yourself, center, and clear the mental landscape. And I'm hoping that by the time this podcast is out, this is also out. I've been working on getting a course out there for you guys. That's a 7-day writer's reset meditation course. So it's 7 days of meditations that I designed specifically for writers. And they're about 10 to 15 minutes, around 15 minutes really, a piece. And we focus on different things that are going to build up your writing and help you write from a more centered, connected place. It's all about delving into your deep creative soul and quieting yourself down enough to be able to really deeply tap into that place. Because I think so much of it has to do with, like you were saying, quieting your mind and not even eliminating, but letting go temporarily of the distractions, realizing those things that I need to get done will be there for me later. Right now, I'm just going to focus on this and pay attention only to your writing. Give it the time and attention that it deserves. And so if this course is out, which I'm hoping that it will be, I'm on the brink of releasing it, it'll be down in the description. And if you're watching this in the future, it will definitely be down there in the description. You can go check that out. And I also have some fun, shorter meditations, like the 5-minute ones you guys seem to enjoy, coming out soon too. But I think that just taking a few minutes of quiet to kind of clear your mind before you sit down to write. There's also a few other things you can do to kind of reset before you write. Like for me, I've found that taking a shower can be a huge help to like reset myself. Like if I've done a bunch of things, it's like, okay, I'm gonna shower, I'm gonna wear something comfy, and now it's like, okay, we're reset. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things like I've heard a lot of people say that about taking a shower. Like I know a lot of yogis like to shower before doing yoga because it kind of like it's almost a physical representation of washing away the day. And now it's like, okay, you're going to do something new. You're starting from a fresh point. But find something like that, whether it's meditating, whether it's taking a shower, whether it's doing something relaxing, like a little ritual before you write. So you're writing from this place of stillness and clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do you find that?
Even something really small, like
to kind of shift.
Making a cup of tea.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes around like mid-morning, I'll want to make a second cup of tea and I'll be finishing up some tasks or whatever, and I'm going to shift into writing next. And I wait until I'm ready to go into my writing to make the cup of tea because it's like a break between each task, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do.
The tasks are done, the work is done. Now I'm going to move on to writing and making the cup of tea and clearing my space and quitting all of the apps I don't need except Scrivener is a small but physical way to reset and start something new.
Right.
And also things like yoga, like you were saying, exercise, going for a walk, anything that closes the tab on what you were just doing, so to speak, and opens up a new tab.
Rather than just letting it all blend into each other.
Yeah, because you can't really, like we were saying earlier, you can't really immerse yourself into a different world that way. It still feels like part of your work, part of what you were doing, rather than moving through and creating from a place of total immersion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
It's a different feeling. And one feels more stressful and more forced. And the other one feels more like it's coming from a state of flow and joy and creativity. So yeah, there are several things that I like to set up in my day to reach that. And a lot of them I know we've talked about on the podcast before, like listening to music, soundtracks, things that inspire you, vision boards, things like that. But really eliminating the distractions is the biggest one for me, or letting go of those things, like you said. And what helps me to not think about work or get distracted by anything really that isn't my writing is to, before I choose a writing day, before I choose a writing slot in my schedule, to make time for the other things on another day or in another part of my day, so that it's there, it's scheduled, I know when I'm going to handle it, but it's not right now. And that makes it so much easier for me to push it aside and to know there's a time and place for that, but it's not right now, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, realizing after I'm done, that will still be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these things aren't urgent. It's not like, oh, I have that pot burning on the stove, but I'll get it when I'm done writing. These are not urgent things most of the time. Like checking your email for things that aren't really urgent, or checking social media, or, you know, calling someone. A lot of times you can actually schedule those things for later and the world's not going to end. So unless it's you have to actually go put out some fire, like really prioritize. Give your writing the respect that it deserves. You know what I mean? Like if you were meeting a friend you hadn't seen in a long time for lunch, you wouldn't be answering email on your phone the whole time. It'd be like, wow, man, that's a little rude there. You know what I mean? So think of it the same way with your writing. Think of it as your writing deserves respect and attention, just like you would give a long lost friend.
I agree 100%. That's so important, to give your writing the respect that it deserves and to treat yourself and your creative endeavors with respect. Right. You know, don't be a crappy boss to yourself. And that's
one a good way to put it.
That's one of the things that so many self-employed people do, myself included. Even if you're not 100% self-employed yet, you are still working on a project that you have to motivate yourself to do. Like nobody else is telling you to do this but you. So make sure that you do hold yourself accountable and do push yourself to accomplish your dreams, accomplish your goals, make your dreams come true, but don't be a jerk to yourself. Take the time that you need for self-care. Take the time to fill your cup, to get inspired so that you can create more freely and from a place of joy. Never take the joy out of the process, or else what is it worth if you're not enjoying it? If you're not enjoying it now, you're never going to enjoy it. And your readers are going to feel that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you didn't enjoy the whole process,
so how can you make it more
enjoyable? Your readers aren't going to enjoy it as much. Right. Because you can feel that stuff. I've read things before that I'm like, I can tell the author was not really enjoying this very much, and a lot of times it will be confirmed like, oh yeah, I hated writing that part.
Yeah.
You know, so
how can you make your writing more enjoyable? If you can make it something that you look forward to, then I don't even think you have to get in the writing mood. I don't even think you have to try to achieve this state of flow. Like if you can make this the most desirable thing to do ever.
Yeah. And we have ever.
I'm serious.
Yeah. Ever. Literally nothing else you'd rather do than
There's
this.
Nothing else. I feel like that all the time. I don't know if I'm just a total nerd, but there are so many times when I just want to stop everything I'm doing and write because there's nothing else I would rather do.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah. And I think that comes from building a habit of making writing a priority in your life and making the time that you have, making the most of the time that you have. Because I want to add here that if you're listening to this right now and you're like, well, that's great, but I work a job and I have kids, or I have, another business that I'm running as well. Yes, but figure out what is the time you can give to it. And there's no right or wrong answer to that. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of time, even if it's like a half hour of every few days or a half hour a week. Respect that time. You know what I mean? And it will grow from there, especially if you're someone who's like, hey, I'm working a job right now, but I eventually want to be a full-time author. Then respect the amount of time you can give to it and let it grow from there. It doesn't have to be, 3 hours a day right now. It doesn't have to be that. You know what I mean? Just live in the present moment. Don't feel guilty for not being able to give more time to it, because feelings of guilt just shut us down. They don't help us grow. So it will actually shut down and inhibit your ability to write really well with the time you do have. And then that time won't grow. It will shrink. And eventually it'll be like months go by and, I haven't even worked on the book. because, I feel guilty about not having enough time to give to it. Just give what you have. Give what you have. It's fine. It's good. If your kids are driving you crazy, needing things, and your job needs things, your business, whatever, just give your writing the time you do have. Bring what you have to the table now and let it grow from there.
Yes, 100%. I agree. Another thing that I do that I was just realizing, and I think you do this as well, to get in the writing mood to write a particular scene, whatever it is you're going to write, is, and this sounds kind of niche, but it works for me, and I think you've mentioned it as well, is watching either film clips or TV show clips or movie trailers even.
So much.
That are similar in style and tone and genre to what you're writing.
Absolutely. That it works like magic. It works like magic.
It does. Like I was recently writing a few weeks ago, as you know, I was writing a heist scene, which is one of my favorite things.
Abbie and heists, man.
And it helped me so much to go watch the heist scene, the breaking into the factory scene from The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
Which I love. That whole sequence is so great.
It's so well edited. I love
and
that part.
Just watching that scene got me so instantly in the mood to write a heist. I mean, not that I need anything to encourage me to get into the mood to write a heist, because I pretty much always want to write heist scenes, but this was like so helpful for me that day.
Yeah. And
I've done that many times where I will find a clip from a film that I really like, or a TV series, or even taking a break if I need to, and watching an episode of something that's either similar to what I'm writing, or the characters are somehow similar to my characters. Anything about it that can inspire me, that makes me step into another world. I think that's part of it. Is
it kind of kickstarts the chemistry.
Yeah.
For the scene.
Yeah.
Or for the part of the book you're writing, or the character, whatever. It like already gets it going in your mind. It just like kickstarts that chemistry in your head.
Yeah.
That you're then going to just let it keep brewing and incorporate it right into your writing.
Exactly.
At least that's how it feels, kind of.
Yeah, that's how it feels for me too. So that's another quick thing that might help you to instantly get in the writing mood if you need to jumpstart that process.
Yeah. Movie trailers are good too. Like I think you said that movie trailers can be good.
Yeah, it also I think helps to create more inspiration for your own story, because you start to see your story unfolding in a more attractive and dramatic way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it can improve your imagery of your own story.
Yeah, exactly. When you are a little bit unenthused about what you're writing and you go either watch a film trailer or a clip from your favorite movie, and it gets you feeling like, oh, I want to write something like that.
Yeah.
And then you realize that you can, it's not anything that's outside the realm of possibility for you. And even if you're not writing a screenplay, obviously Kate and I are talking about writing books, but this works for anything, because a story is a story is a story, as I always like to say. And if it inspires you to write your story, then do it.
Yeah, 100%. So true.
Yeah, so I think we covered a few things today that are quite valuable for getting in the writing mood, finding that state of flow, and creating from that place. Even if you don't have a ton of time to write, you will always have at least a small block of time in your daily schedule where you can sit down and write down either ideas or a scene, anything. Make time for your creativity, make time for your art. And hopefully these tips have helped you today so that you can write even more in 2022 and make your author dreams come true.
Heck yes.
Also, I recently posted a video on my channel last week about achieving your writing goals in 2022. Check that out for some more tips on how to make your goals actually happen, create systems where you are making progress towards your writing goals, and even progress towards publishing. Which next week on the podcast we're going to be talking about publishing, so stay tuned for that. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. Keep an eye out for Kate's course. Her meditation course is coming out super soon. The link will be in the description eventually of this video. If you're not on YouTube, go to Kate's channel, which is youtube.com/KAEmmons. That's where all of the podcasts live in video format, so you can watch our faces as well as listen to us. If you're on another platform, give us a nice rating. We always appreciate that. And if you get value out of this podcast, go to patreon.com/The Kate and Abbie Show and help us keep this podcast alive and free of interruptions. We love you guys so much. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. Until then,
stay stoked
and rock on.